Your thoughts affect those around you. Hi, I'm Reverend Andrew Bozeman, and this is On the Wings of Your Mind. Now, the purpose of today's talk is to build awareness of how powerful you really are. Yesterday, we discussed that your thoughts affect those around you. And I shared a couple of examples as to how our thoughts exist in an ocean of thoughts that we all live in. And when you send out a thought, it gets picked up by everyone around you. Whether they respond to it or not depends on how relevant it is to them. Of course, the word coincidence came up a lot. And there were many reasons why people seem to respond to our thoughts that don't necessarily reflect that they were directly being affected by our thoughts. All that's well and good. The tendency is to discount anything that having to do with mental telepathy in our society. It's very strong in this society. So I think we are so totally dismissive of such concepts because we fear them. We fear anything that is outside of our normal realm of reality, not realizing that mental communication has always been there. So before I go any further, let me suggest this little experiment that you might try to confirm what I'm telling you. Next time you're in a place where there are a number of people present, say 10 or more, silently put out the thought, what time is it? That's it. Just think, what time is it? And then watch to see how many people start looking to give yourself a decent sample. Don't just do it once, do it a few times. Then answer this question. Do you think it was a coincidence all those times that people reacted? Do you think it was a coincidence? You are not as isolated as you may think you are. You are directly connected to everything and everyone around you. And as a spiritual warrior, it's important that you build awareness and understand that our minds are much more, people believe that our minds are much more powerful. Please click on the thumbs up button. And if you haven't already done so, please choose to subscribe. And remember, I would love to hear your thoughts, comments, and questions. Please use the chat box on the right side of the screen. So you can subscribe by going down to the lower right-hand corner, chat box on the right side screen, or you can use the comment section below the video. But I'd love to hear from you. Looking forward to it. So, though communicating through thoughts is a concept that is mostly discounted in the material world, thoughts has actually been talked about for centuries. People have always believed it. People have experienced it. Unfortunately, it has been proven to the satisfaction of those who are doubters. And any attempts in this day and age to explore it are scorned and ridiculed. Yeah. Even today, researchers who have thousands of pages of documents to support it are still being looked at as delusional. Now, I can remember an incident many years ago when I was still working in the corporate environment. And an employee of mine was standing in front of my office talking to another employee about strange incidents that had happened in their lives. So one of them told this story. He said one night he and his wife were asleep, and suddenly his wife woke up very distressed. It was 3 a.m. in the morning, and she was saying, something is wrong, something is wrong, something is wrong with their son, Jack. He couldn't calm her down. They then tried to call their son, but there was no answer, and his wife would get even more frantic. And so they started calling everybody that they knew who might have any idea as to where their son was. They were getting nothing. They were getting nowhere. Finally, at about 6 a.m. that morning, they got a call. The call was from a hospital in Iowa, near the area where her son was working. And the hospital informed them that her son had had a motorcycle accident and had suffered some broken bones, but that he would be okay. Later on, when they were able to talk to their son, They learned that he had been sideswiped by a car on a two-lane highway, and the impact of the collision propelled him off the highway into a ditch on the side of the road where he was initially rendered unconscious down in a ditch. Fortunately, his motorcycle ended up laying on the shoulder of the highway where it could still be seen. And a passing motorist spotted the motorcycle and stopped and found the son laying there in the ditch. Now, since they were in a rural area, it took a while for the ambulance to get to the location and get the son to a hospital. But after he regained consciousness, he was able to tell the authorities how to contact his parents and calm down his mother's distress. He was also able to confirm with them the time that he was hit. It was about 3 a.m., which was the same time the mother woke up in a panic. The two men conversing in front of my office were sharing their amazement at the coincidence of this event, the things that, the mother waking up at the same time the son had the accident. At that point, I intervened to explain to them it wasn't really a coincidence. His wife was startled awake because of the strong telepathic connection between the mother and the son. I told him that there are many instances of mothers knowing that something is wrong when their children are involved. You know what? Not only did he reject the notion of a telepathic connection between his wife and their son, he actually got insulted that I would even suggest such an outlandish idea. Then he turned and walked away in a huff. I would say that his reaction, an overreaction in fact, was based on fear. Fear of something strange, fear of something outside of the norm. I mean, he was an engineer. He had a very well-established worldview based on rules and regulations and calculations. So what I told him had fallen outside of his rather rigid view of what reality is and is not. His wife's experience was an example of mental receptivity, which I explained yesterday as one of the 3 types of mental communication. First is the skill of reading someone else's thoughts without sharing your own thoughts with them. This is called mind reading. Second is the kind where 2 or more people communicate specific information or conversation through their minds. I call this mental telepathy. Third is picking up on non-specific information from another's thoughts in a general way that triggers a reaction in you as well as in others around you. This I call general mental receptivity. So because of the emotional connection between the mother and her son, they received message, or the mother received a message through general receptivity. If you have a connection with someone, an emotional connection, and you receive messages in your mind about the people you love or know, don't discount it as you being crazy. It can be explained in part by quantum physics, all right? Quantum physics has what is known as a theory of quantum entanglement. Now that theory says that when a group or a particle or a group of particles interact, then they are forever linked and will react at the same time in the same way to the forces that affect the other particles, even if they are separated by a very large distance. So when you get an intuitive sense that someone you know or someone you love is in trouble, do not discount it. Don't. Check it out. Check it out. It might be just a mental message you are receiving that they are sending. A distress signal, if you will. As we continue to develop as spiritual warriors, we're learning to give respect to the gifts we have been given as individualized expressions of infinite intelligence. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, so there is more to us than meets the eye. We've got more than just our 5 senses. There are other ways that we can interpret the world as well that are outside of the 5 senses. So Be aware of that as a spiritual warrior and learn to take advantage of that. We do have the ability to communicate on multiple levels, and honoring those means of communication not only gives us greater insight into the world around us, but it also gives us more power to function in and influence the world around us. And as in everything in this world, there are at least two sides to it. But now that we know we can receive messages mentally, what about sending messages mentally? Well, as spiritual warriors, as I said, our task is to create an environment that is peaceful and free of fear through our connection with infinite intelligence. Basically, what we're doing is a form of mental telepathy because it is through our thought patterns that we are influencing those around us. We can develop this ability by a series of steps. Step 1, quiet the mind to enable clear thoughts. Step 2, remember that you are an individualized expression of infinite intelligence. Step 3, smile because it elevates the mood and energizes the aura. And step 4, open to the energy of love and send it out. Make sure to allow instead of trying to push. Allow instead of trying to push. The effort of pushing requires the contraction of muscles inside the body. Contraction cuts off the energy, so it reduces the flow rather than increases it. So when you undertake your mission to start allowing energy to flow, remember, allow instead of push. So when you undertake this mission to elevate your consciousness, to start communicating mentally, your thoughts are going to begin to grow stronger and clearer. That's because you are paying attention. Because you are paying attention, they're going to get stronger and clearer, and therefore they're going to have more impact. That's because most people don't have clear thinking. Most people don't have clear thoughts. Most people's minds are usually a confused mass of contradictory thoughts crashing into each other and canceling each other out. So at some point you're going to find that people begin to respond to your thought patterns as your mind becomes clearer and more focused and more strong in its output. At this point, when people start to respond, it's important to remember, don't try to selfishly manipulate them or hurt people. As spiritual warriors, we want to elevate those around us. We don't want to bring them down. Also, it's important to remember that whatever you send out does come back. So you need to be careful about that. To illustrate, I'm reminded of a story by Dr. Edward Hollowell in his book, Dare to Forgive. He tells of a man who hated his boss so much that one night while he was walking past his boss's house, he picked up a rock and threw it at the house, hoping to break a window. Instead of hitting a window, the rock hit a pole and bounced back and hit him in the face. So he ended up with an injury. What you send out comes back. True, that was a physical thing, but it works the same way mentally. It works the same way spiritually. So you want to be positive. So how does one develop the ability to generate thoughts that affect people around them? Well, like I said, first of all, we must quiet the conscious mind that is always chattering. That continuous chattering is why the Buddhists call it the monkey mind. Now, most people in Western societies have trouble quieting their minds. So the key is to turn that tendency of the mind to chatter to our advantage by overwhelming the chattering mind into submission by continuous repetition of something else, of an uplifting phrase or mantra that you like. I use phrases like, thank you, Mother, Father, God, or thank you, infinite intelligence, or thank you in the name of the Christ, or God is all there is, or there is nothing that is not God. The reason I have multiple mantras is for variety and to head off my mind. So if I'll start with one and repeat it over and over again in my head, eventually my conscious mind gets bored with it and tries to turn it off and divert its attention to something else. And when it does that, I switch to a different selection within the group and start all over again. It's like the same thing you do with weightlifting. You know, you do a certain set of routines, but then after a while you have to switch them up because your muscles get complacent and don't respond. Another tool I use is spiritual music. I repeat uplifting musical phrases from spiritual songs, singing them in my head. And that also can be effective in quieting down the conscious mind to the point that eventually it gives up and begins to yield to your control. Now, in the beginning, there was a continuous battle with my mind for control. But now, it's much easier because my conscious mind has been trained to be quiet and to allow my thinking to be clearer, more direct, and much more powerful. The same result of quieting the conscious mind can, of course, be reached by meditation. So if you're able to meditate, you're way ahead of the game. But remember, there are many forms of meditation. You don't just have to sit still for an extended period of time. You can work in the garden to take take you into a meditative state, or walk in the woods, or walk beside a body of water. Those can also do that. So you find a way to quiet your mind through activity, then that's cool, relaxing activity. However you choose to do it, just do it. So the first step is to quiet the conscious mind so you can begin to think clearly. Step 2 involves remembering and convincing yourself of the truth that you are an individualized expression of infinite intelligence. You are an expression of infinite intelligence. And the value of this acknowledgement of who and what you really are is that it elevates your awareness of the inherent power that flows through you from infinite intelligence. It reminds you that you are not alone and that you are supported, surrounded, and filled by love. And that goes a long way towards bringing a sense of peace. And the effect of a quiet mind and a sense of peace is reflected directly into the aura, which is the electromagnetic field around you that extends out from the body by several feet and transmits vibrations out into the environment around you. The next step is to smile. Smiling indicates that you're in a good mood, but smiling, even more important than that, is that if you're not in a good mood, smiling has the amazing effect of elevating the mood. If you smile, even though you're in a bad mood, it's going to rise. Your mood is going to rise. Smiling makes it easier to remember that you're an individualized expression of infinite intelligence because you are enjoying the fruits of that energy. All of this generates positive thought patterns and a more optimistic thought cloud around you, and that favorably affects anybody that is in your presence. The next step is to send out positive thoughts and energy for the sake of healing and uplifting those around you. Those who channel healing energy discover that they are uplifted by the energy and that the uplift stays with them for a while and makes them smile, which energizes their aura, which creates a cloud of energy around them to uplift those around you. Basically, the ability to positively affect those around you because you are having a strong, clear, positive, healing thought is a power that is of great importance in the world, great value. Your ability to do that for yourself and for the people around you is of great, great value. I call it a superpower. A superpower. So, to recap, you can develop your superpower in 4 steps. Step 1, quiet the mind to enable clear thoughts. Step 2, remember that you are an individualized expression of infinite intelligence. Step 3, smile because it elevates the mood and energizes the aura. Step 4, open to the energy of love and healing. Then send it out to make sure to allow instead of pushing it. Allow it to flow instead of pushing it. Allow it to flow instead of pushing it. Stevie Wonder once sang a song, "Love is in need of love today." As a spiritual warrior, you have the power to answer that call. Give the world love. It is desperate for it. Let's close with prayer. Thank you, Infinite Intelligence, for bringing all of us together in this life so that we may become spiritual warriors and join in the work we have come here to do. Thank you, Infinite Intelligence, for bringing us into this space of awareness and a deeper understanding of ourselves and our relationship to life and infinite intelligence. Thank you for showing us who we really are. We open our minds and hearts to the truth of our being. We are the children of God. We are individualized expressions of infinite intelligence. And because we are part of the greater whole, we're beginning to understand our value to the continuity of life on this planet. As we become channels of your power, infinite intelligence, we can feel your power within ourselves and within our lives more and more. We know that as we feel your presence within our lives every day, we will rise, because we are no longer cut off from you by being immersed in the darkness of fear, anger, and the pain of unforgiveness. So we are now restoring our connection through the grace of forgiveness, knowing that as we learn to forgive ourselves for the pain we have caused to ourselves, and as we learn to forgive those who have inflicted pain upon us, our connections will grow stronger, and our lives will grow happier and healthier and more prosperous. And for this we are truly grateful. As above, so below. As within, so without. And so it is. Amen. So, thank you for watching. Remember, you can develop your superpower. Just follow the steps above that I have mentioned. Thank you very much for watching. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Please remember to click on the thumbs up button, and if you haven't already done so, please choose to subscribe. I would love to hear from you, so please use the comment section below. In the meantime, I am Reverend Andrew Bozeman, and this is On the Wings of Your Mind.